Hello, we're with Ben Bongers and his book, The Saint Nikolas Society. Ben?
This is from chapter 10 of the Saint Nikolas Society, from the chapter The Three Daughters. I went downstairs and noticed the house was heavy with ghosts. I broke off a chunk of the hearth bread and dipped it in the olive oil bowl on the table and stepped out of the front door into the fresh air. Walking felt good. So I continued down the block, eating as I went. It was a quiet night, a still night. All the stars could be seen like grains of sparkling sand in the black carpet over my head. I smelled the mist in the air and smiled, remembering sailing with my dad in the blackness, not knowing where the sea ended and the sky began. Soon, all the fishermen and traders would be awakening and readying their gear for excursion to far-flung exotic lands and different stars. Reaching the corner, I looked at old Kakos's house. It was disheveled, and I thought, all are trading but you, Kakos, my sad friend. I wish you'd find kindness in one of your gods. If not for you, for the good of your family. I looked up at one of the dark windows, half waiting for a reply. Oddly enough, I heard one. No, not someone speaking out loud. No, it was in my head, or in my heart. I'm not really sure where it came from, but I heard it. It was like a bell, speaking clearly to me in my own words. It said, I wish you'd find kindness from God. I looked back at the window, smiling and understanding what the voice meant. I ran through my house to the rear courtyard, wondering if the old building bricks were still in the northeast corner. As long as I could remember, whenever my father needed coins, he'd come out here in the darkness and move all the bricks to one side, and then he'd lift a little clay door and drop down into the pit that was dug under the rock wall. I was never allowed to go near it, but I knew his secret hiding place was right there. I turned the corner and saw the pile. It was still there. After moving the bricks, I found a little door and pulled at it. It opened, and I jumped down and stuck my little lamp into the pit. By all that's holy, I exclaimed a little too loudly. Shining back at me were stacks upon stacks of gold and silver coins. Not just one stack, but scores of stacks on little boards and clay platters. I had no idea it contained all of this, and I looked up to the ceiling of the pit and uttered, thanks, Dad. I tried to remember how much Hutma and Kakos owed Badal. 111,000 soldi, I heard him say in my mind's ear. I knew I couldn't throw that much in through a window all at one time, but he didn't need it all at one time. I counted out 34,000 soldi and scooped them into a leather bag about the size of a small child's head, and then tied the top close. After resecuring the pit, I quietly made my way down the block to Kakos' house and stood there, not knowing which window to throw the bag through. The bag was heavy, and I didn't want it to split open when it hit the floor. I picked the window closest to the corner, yet farthest from my house, and lined up to throw. It would be a little above my head, and I wanted it to fly far enough into the house so they'd find it easily in the morning. I swung my arm back and forth a few times and let go at the right moment. The bag sailed through the window and knocked over what sounded like a clay pitcher. The household exploded with yelling and wailing. Who dare rob me at this hour? Came Kakos' voice, and his wife would scream in short bursts as loudly as she could from another room. All three daughters were cackling at high pitch like hens. I turned and ran for home, exhilarated, satisfied, and suddenly very sleepy.